number to let him in. Okay. Hey, everybody. Oops. Ah, man. Live stream. I gave away a trick. Not a trick. I gave away something I was going to talk about right at the beginning there. What's up, everybody? I think this is working. Never can tell. But I'm going to check. I'm going to check me out on. Oh, yeah, it is working. Okay, cool. All right. Zoom room. I'm going to mute myself. I'm about to let in the guest, and then you can get that situated. And then, dip out when everything's cool. Yeah? Thank you. All right, y'all. For anyone tuning in right now, you are checking out the behind the scenes pregame of Hip Hop Can Save America. This is a wait, where's the people? This is a live version of the podcast. Live version of the podcast. We're going every day, Monday through Thursday, on Facebook and YouTube. So every Monday through Thursday live. You've seen me do it for 2 days already. We're going to go for the trifecta. We're going to go for 3 days. And we are getting ready to go. So I like to start this up a couple minutes early just to make sure that, people trickle in. And people can trickle in and see each other. See what's going on. Say hi in the chat, in the comment section. Say hi. Let me know you're tuned in, and then we'll get going. The last couple of days we have touched upon. So in general, this might be your first time listening. So in general, talking about the intersection of hip hop and other areas of life, including education, science and technology, health and wellness, the fine arts, social justice and politics, a really intellectual kind of way of looking at hip hop's, being used in different areas of life and society to uplift humanity and improve society. I do that through the podcast Hip Hop Can Save America, of which this is now the live version of. So you'll see these every day, Monday to Thursday for the month of September. Live on my various Facebook. Channels, and on YouTube as well. You'll find this show. So I'm doing the pregame right now. We're about to get going. A guest has arrived, chilling in the green room. And all is well in Hip Hop Can Save America land. My name is Manny Faces. I appreciate you for tuning in and spreading the love. That's the one thing you could do, is that you can share this and let people know what we're doing, telling good stories, sharing good stories, good people doing good work in the field, in fields that are connected to hip hop. So I love it. We're sounding good. We're looking good. Hopefully people are trickling in no matter where you might be. I got a lot of windows open, so I'm just getting everything set up. It's a lot of work to put this together technologically, as I'm sure you can imagine, as you can see by seeing it. So with that being said, let me just close up some stuff and we'll get going. Once again, we are Hip Hop Can Save America, also available on a podcast. So if you like listening to this and don't have the time to see it live every day, you can obviously catch it on demand, catch the videos and such. Well, I'll tell everybody that in a minute, because I'm gonna tell everyone that in the regular broadcast. All right, we are good to go. Again, if you're watching, please say hi in the comment section of whatever platform you see me in. Let me know that we look, sound, smell, taste, and feel good together. And then and again, share this right now. Go ahead, share. I'll wait. Go ahead and share. Well, I'll tell people that too. Okay, here we go. Ready? Oh, you know what? It was supposed to say this. Dang it. My video was supposed to say show starting momentarily, so that people knew what was happening. Anyway, I got to get my act together. It's a lot of stuff going on. All right. You ready? All right, theme song time. I don't think the guests can hear this, but there's a theme song, so just bear with me.
The thing about hip hop today is it's smart. It's insightful. The way that they can communicate a complex message in a very short space is remarkable. And a lot of these kids, they're not going to be reading the New York Times. That's not how they're getting their information.
My hip hop will rock and shock the nation. Hip hop culture is more than music.
Peace to you and speak the truth. Show 'em what peace can do when there reach for you.
My hip hop will rock and shock the nation. Rap is something you do. Hip hop is something you live.
So hip hop didn't invent anything, but hip hop reinvented everything.
I gotta let that fade before I cut to me. So I've learned that lesson in the last couple of days. What up, y'all? It's your man Manny Faces, live and direct from Newark, New Jersey, Brick City in the house. The third iteration of this wildly ambitious and insane project called Hip Hop Could Save America Live. It's like next we're gonna do Hip Hop Could Save America on ice. But here we are every day trying to take the podcast that I've been delivering for a number of years through the Center for Hip Hop Advocacy, Hip Hop Could Save America, which is always a great collection of interviews, a little bit of commentary from time to time, but interviews with individuals and organizations or representing organizations that are using hip hop, music, and culture in innovative, inspiring, and sometimes surprising ways to uplift humanity, improve humanity. So sometimes that's an artist that's, doing something as an artist would do. Sometimes it's an educator that's bringing hip hop into the classroom or using it in mental health counseling sessions or using it to put young people on to the concepts of science and technology that they might not have access to in their schools. There's a million different ways. I'm going to have a million episodes by the time I'm done. But so that's my job, is to translate those stories to the public, to the people, those that know about hip hop and want to be reinforced that it's not just, withering away on a vine, so to speak. And also, especially to people that think that hip hop is has less than desirable characteristics, and we're here to tell them that what you're, not to be mean, but maybe your limited knowledge or experience with hip hop that is deeper than that iceberg might show. So that's my job. I do appreciate you for listening, for tuning in live, especially if you're listening on the podcast app. It's not something you're used to. You're used to these full length sit downs. You do get a bonus because I'm doing the lives Monday through Thursday, the entire month of September, and then Friday, a traditional long-form sit-down interview is going to appear magically on your podcast feed. So even if you don't like the daily, man, I don't like Manny, he just talks and talks and talks. Fine, just wait till Friday. But don't unsubscribe. That'd be crazy. Once again, I want to thank the sponsors that are helping out make this possible, some of which needs to be y'all, so we're going to talk about that. But thanks to Funkadelic Studios. If you're in the New York City area, right in Times Square, if you're a musician, an artist, you may have heard of Funkadelic Studios. You may have walked through the doors of Funkadelic Studios. Recording studio, rehearsal space, great friend to the independent music community in New York City and around surrounding areas. Back open, pandemic, reemerging from the pandemic, reemerging from all this craziness, high-tech disinfectants and making sure that everything is safe, limited capacity, all that. So if you do have that itch, that urge, that need, that you need that hit, that musical hit to get back in the booth or get back in the rehearsal space or recording studio, Funkadelic Studios in New York City is your friend. And like I said, back open. So do check them out. If you have been paying attention, this live screen action looks dope. This podcast sounds great. It's edited well afterwards. It looks super spectacular. It's all because of me, mainly, and a little bit of help I'm getting, but produced by Manny Faces Media. So if you have podcast needs or live stream needs, holler at your man. Special thanks to associate producer Cindy on the hookup and OG associate producer Summer. Let's get into it, y'all. I want to tell you one thing first, and then we're going to go to our amazing guest. The reason why I'm doing this, the reason why up there somewhere, wherever on the screen, somewhere right there is a Patreon account. I usually forget to ask for this, but I am bringing it up at the beginning. I don't want you to leave now to do it, so remember to do it later. That'd be awesome. Patreon.com/MannyFaces. pays for the subscriptions and all the things that are needed, the equipment and all that jazz. But more importantly, I want to show you why I could use some assistance. Obviously, what I'm doing is pretty clear. I got these guests. We're telling these stories. I'm creating space, and it's very valuable, I think. This young lady that you're looking at on the screen, Rawa Habti, and I'm hoping I'm pronouncing her name. I don't know her. I just came across her. This was published on the South Seattle Emerald on August 31st. So podcast listeners, you're not seeing it, but it's an article on southseattleemerald.com. I'm just going to read you the beginning. It says Rawa passed away. Okay. And she's from Seattle. And this is the editor who wrote a remembrance of her on the southseattleemerald.com website, and then collected a bunch of sort of testimonials from people who knew her. And I want to say this. So I just came across this. I'm reading from it now. This is written by Naomi Ishisaka. And it says, Rawa was truly one of a kind. She was a person who you had to experience to truly appreciate her brilliance, humor, and warmth. Her ability to create spaces and connections that transcended barriers was unlike anyone else. Whether cultivating the hip-hop scene, making space for women and queer, trans, people of color artists, advocating for raising the minimum wage or immigrant rights, Rawa was always on the side of the people and justice. While most people know her for her groundbreaking work creating Hidmo, I knew her as my best friend and the person whose analysis, wit, and integrity I turned to most. Her loss is a grievous one for us all. And then there's a bunch of testimonials. And then there's another article that I found about her, specifically to how she curated this wonderful hip-hop scene in Seattle. I think I never heard of her. I don't know her. I'm sure some of the people in Seattle absolutely know what I'm talking about. Just like when I drop a lot of New York references, sometimes across the country, we don't know. You won't find her obituary. You won't find her story here written about her in her passing on any hip-hop media site. Yet she was an integral part of hip-hop in a very, populous part of the nation. You won't see her work being covered while she was alive on some of those media outlets. And I'm not judging, although I'm judging, but I'm not. I'm just saying this is the kind of work that I've been working to share for the past 12 some years. This is an outlet where we will talk about the Rawa Habtis of the world in their passing, unfortunately, but also giving them roses while they're here, which is why I said I'm going to do 16 guests in 1 month live if it's the last thing I do. That's a terrible thing to say. But it's very time consuming and it costs a little bit. If you want to help support this endeavor, patreon.com/Manny Faces. I'm very transparent. You know where it goes. It all goes to this. So that's that. But I wanted to, at the same time, shout out this wonderful soul who apparently did great things. I just came across this. I'm going to spend a lot of time researching her. And I'm trying to say this is why we do this. So if that, makes a difference. It's kind of weird asking for support on the backs of that, but it really is about giving roses, and I don't think anyone else is doing it. So like we're trying to do it. So once again, thank you for that. And shouts to everyone in Seattle for this loss. These are the stories we're telling here on Hip Hop Could Save America. So that all being said, one of the fantastic people who agreed to come here and talk with us and with you is with us. I will cut to him in a second. I've known this young man for quite some time, both in and out of the music scene, very much. And I could interview this cat every 6 months, and he'd have something new and spectacular to talk about that really blows people's minds. So with that said, let's talk to my man, my mellow, ADUM7. Can you hear me, sir? Are you unmuted? Hold on, I can't hear you. I can hear you. Now talk.
Yeah. What's good, Manny?
You see what's going on here, man. It's nuts. So I apologize for that. How are you, sir? Blessings to you, and I'm glad to see you.
Yo, love and light. I'm doing pretty well. How about yourself? How are you and the little one?
as I guess as best as could be expected in these times. She's got her distance learning kicked off, and we're plugging along. Everyone's healthy and safe, for the most part, close to us. So,
I gotta say, every time I catch you posting about her, it gives me so much hope. You know what I mean? There's a lot of noise, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, yeah,
Between social media and just energy, you know what I'm
yeah.
saying? But every time I check in, I know the root of where she's from. She's from really good stock. It's like love energy and it's hip hop. You know what I'm saying? So
That's
I'm
it.
just
Baby
like,
girl faces. She got her own hashtag already. She's out here. I gotta have an image I can cut to her whenever someone brings her up. Someone always brings her up. I'll be seeing people I haven't seen in years. They're like, "How's baby girl faces?" You know. So thank you for asking. She's doing
Yeah.
well, and I hope the family and extended family is doing well. You know, I know the family, so you know, much love. So pleasantries aside, you really do a lot of things. You have a long storied history when it comes to hip hop,
Yeah.
for sure, and artistry attached to hip hop. You know, I didn't want to sit there and read a bio, but we'd be here for hours if you talked about everything you did. What's the elevator pitch when someone says, "Oh, you do hip hop? What have you done?"
Man, I mean, I was born into it, and essentially when I was old enough, a few of my buddies at Hunter College, we created the Grassroots Artists Movement, which is a hip hop union that got people free legal, dental, advice and play back in 2001. And we founded that union with M1 the Dead Prez, and we had really strong support from Immortal Technique. And we just were about educating independent artists from New York, Philadelphia, to as far as Nigeria, how to get their foot in on the indie side of hip hop music business, kind of forge ahead and push their messages forward. And that gave birth to like, you know, Majesty and Hassan Salam and Final Outlaw and countless other artists that have really put it down. And outside of that, music producer, visual artist, MC, and just hip hop ambassador, man. That's
And I love that you mentioned the names that are, you know, back in 2001, you said like way back then, and it's artists that everyone knows. And the reason why, and artists that didn't get, you know, they don't have Def Jam, Sony, you know, Columbia, you know what I mean? Like they put it down on an independent tip, made a living, continue to make music, travel the world, speak on issues of importance to the community. And a lot of that started from the root right there that you were involved in. So, and of course, how many artists has the Immortal Techniques and the Dead Prezes of the world
inspired, right?
So just that DNA that you done sprinkled across the you know the hip hop world is crazy. You've had a couple of incarnations before on the artist tip, just so people know. You have some formerly known as.
Yeah. My first name was Ravage, which means restore artistic vision and growth everywhere by destroying convention. So that was my inception into hip hop music, and my whole thing was to be disruptive because I'm not necessarily a fan of like corporatizing hip hop culture. So I was very disruptive, thus the formation of the Grassroots Artists Movement. Right. And then I was running with Rodan at the time, and he gave me the name G Mecca, which is Mecha Godzilla. And I was in a rap crew for a little while. And then I just took my artistry to Japan to just reset. Still a lot of noise in the US for me. Right. A few years after my trips to Japan, Toho, the Japanese Godzilla company, sent me a letter, and they're like, in a very Japanese way, this is how Japanese people say no. They're like, we know that you've been using the name, and you can still use the name, but your fan base just cannot grow. So, and they were like, if your fan base grows, we may have to take legal action. And I was like, oh, that was a very nice way of saying stop using the name. So I had to reinvent. So
it's almost Canadian.
You gotta school me on that later. I'm not sure.
Just very polite. They're very polite in Canada. They're like, hey, listen, we don't want to sue you for your entire life's work, but
So that was kind of like the biggest high five that I've ever gotten as far as validation. Like Godzilla tried to crush me, son. So
stomp you out. And let's just say the shirt of the day.
I appreciate you, bro. That was one of my shirts. The Rising Sun, the Mecha Godzilla.
My favorite. If you have any more, this one's kind of ragged. It's been a while.
So that was
the stores unit.
You know that Toho saw that shirt online, and that's how they hit me up.
It's probably me with my fabulous following that they told me stop growing.
So I guess
Yeah.
just to cap all the AKAs, I had to reinvent. So instead of the community giving me a name, I had to choose a name. So it was a mix between Atum Ra, Adam, which is like from the Christian lineage, like Garden of Eden Adam,
Sure.
and also the atom itself, which is one of the building blocks of life here. So I just mixed it up, and I got ADUM7, which is a dream universally manifested to the power of the universe. You know what I mean? So that's my name.
The X appears in some of your social media, just so people know out the gate. ADUM7 X. Does the X have significance, or is it just?
So I mean, I've tapped into all levels of spirituality.
Indeed.
I'm not Muslim, but the X is a play on exponent.
Right. Oh, okay. Right. To the X power. To the X the power. Got it.
Yeah.
Well, I know you by all your names. We know our government names on top of that, so we know all the names.
Yes.
I thank you for that. I want to start off. Well, we started already, but I want to cut to something that I found. You recently posted. This is timely, and this is what we get with live. When I do, interviews, sometimes they don't come out for a month. This is timely. Chadwick Boseman.
Oh wow. Yeah.
Meant something to all of us, to a lot of people, and some more than others, some with different in different ways. You penned a tribute.
Yeah.
To I'm trying to call it up, but I'm not able to do it. Hang on.
Okay.
I want the folks to see this. Just bear with me, y'all. This is technology on the go.
Let's go, Manny.
You know what I mean? But I want them to see this because I found that you were I'm not gonna be, maybe I will be able to pull it up. I found that you wrote a tribute online.
Yeah.
And explain the tribute, explain why you felt that was sort of necessary, what the passing of this incredible talent and really inspirational figure meant to you.
Man, I remember I think one thing we can say about the community that identifies as African American is that we're very moved and inspired by seeing ourselves on the big screen or seeing ourselves in a space where we're normally not the hero, we're normally not promoted, and it was just dope for the first time to see like a movie. As we know, Wesley Snipes kind of was our first black superhero technically,
right.
As Blade.
Yeah.
But seeing like a whole cast, a cast that looked like us, like 90% of that cast was us, like. That just had a lot of impact to me, and visually I just know like the youth seeing that in their subconscious mind, they realize like, yo, there could be a world where like, our communities are self-sufficient and like leading, you know what I'm saying, in spaces of technology as well as like being heroes to like, necessarily push healing forward for the planet and, I guess just leading culture, you know what I'm saying, to help evolve what human existence is here for all of us. So I don't know, Chad's passing was pretty alarming. I've had family members that have passed away from colon cancer. That's something that I've known since age 7 all the way up until now. Just seeing elders go and people that are not so old go, and cancer is something that I pivoted into a vegan lifestyle in order to make sure that I prevented it myself, as well as like, help people, just make healthier pivots in order to stay here longer and healthier,
Well, I understand that. We're going to talk about the healthy living, the veganism. We're going to talk about that as well. Also, but with Boseman, the Black Panther movement, as it were, you know what I mean? That whole phenomenon, which for the reasons you mentioned, was just great. That representation. I love the Shuri storyline that's going to emerge from this, because I think just as important. I love the way, the movie, I always talk about intersection of, hip hop and science and technology and putting people on, and the way the movie ended with, that touch of, science and technology, and this could, was, you so on point. musically, you also had something going on here.
Yeah.
And I'm going to try to do this underneath. I don't know if you're going to hear or see this.
Okay.
Uh,
Yeah.
but
Um,
let's talk about that. Let's talk about the musical connection you had.
so I went to see the movie twice. I was so moved by the first time that I had to go see it again. And um, I literally, after I saw it again, I just started producing because it just made me feel a certain kind of way, and I couldn't really put it into words. So I just had to like sit in front of the keyboard and get the energy out. So it was dope because I think a lot of people know that I make music, but they've never seen me do it per se.
Right.
So I had a girlfriend at the time, and she was staying with me, and she watched me create all of these tracks live in like a span of 3 days. Like I wasn't coming to bed; I was just staying up and like creating, and it was like my way of showing love to the energy and getting the energy out in tribute to the film and everything that I saw there.
Right.
And yeah, the Wakanda Forever EP is just my way of being fully self-expressed with the energy, and I love the feminine energy in the film. As you know, Chadwick and that whole cast show that whoever's leading draws power from the community as well, and it was just like such a community family type of film, and I just pay tribute to a lot of the women in the film as well.
Give me a second, bro. I don't want to cut you off. I tried to do something fancy. I ruined it. Try to do something fancy. I had it all set up ahead of time. Please continue.
Yeah. So I made tributes to Nakia in the film, and Princess Shuri in the film, which is Letitia Wright. Yeah, I just kind of went off and just showed love to the women in the film. And last point was there was a way of trying to mix New York boom bap with the current trap sound. You know what I mean? So I made sure that this was 808 heavy, which is originally roots of hip hop culture anyway. The 808.
Yeah, for sure.
As well as I intertwined it with boom bap and just try to deconstruct boom bap and trap together to make like a very artsy piece, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
And
indeed.
last point that I'll say is it was dope because one of the last tracks is called No Filter, and it has like a very Wu-Tang RZA-esque type of vibe. And when I saw the film, like it just made me feel very like a little bit edgy and just very New York somehow, even though it was a very African driven film. And then once Chadwick was doing interviews talking about what he was listening to as he's training, he was like, Nas, the whole Liquid Swords. I was like, of course. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's what I felt. I felt that, you know what I mean? Yeah. So that's why I produced the way that I did. So, Manny, huge thanks for bringing that up, man. It's special to me.
I love the project. I tried to get it in here. It was too loud. It was drowning you out. I'll fix it for the podcast, but they won't even know. So reminding to the audience that, we're doing this live, so bear with us. But these interviews will be available on a podcast as well. So, so for that, as we're taking a break, for those of you maybe just tuning in, we are Hip Hop Can Save America live. The podcast, doing it live. We've been doing it as a podcast. We are live for the month of September, Monday through Thursdays, with a special Friday bonus just for the podcast feed. You can find us here at 1 p.m. Eastern, wherever you're finding me now. Find me again next week, Monday through Thursday, for the entire month of September, with a special guest every day. Our special guest today, his current name is ADUM7, but he is no new jack to this game. We talked about the fact that he's been doing music and artist advocacy for decades now, even though he looks like he's 18. But he's been doing this for decades and getting into production, much more production. Some things that are licensed, I think. You've definitely had an international touch, so your music is revered throughout different parts of the world as well. Your travels, real quick. Spent a lot of time in Japan. Had a big connection to the people and culture of Japan. What has that provided you as an artist? Young artist. I got to travel to Lyon, France, a few years ago. It was my first time out of the U.S. except for Mexico and except for the kind of touristy places in Mexico. And Canada, Toronto, which doesn't really count. Lyon was something different. That was France. That was old France. That was small town, small city France.
Wow.
And I got this great perspective about how people outside of the United States respect art. Maybe because it's an older culture, older citizenry, and there could be hip hop in the middle of the town square, which happened for as part of a festival, Les Original. I can't speak French. Festival,
Pretty good.
JM, and I heard it enough while I was there. And JM, this was years ago, but they brought me out, and it was town square filled with hip hop. And the townsfolk, it was Easter Monday. Apparently that's a thing in Europe that you actually take off the day after Easter. Everything's shut down. So it's Easter Monday. People, at pubs surrounding this public square, and hip hop. Graffiti artists painting on these giant, plywood murals. DJ Babu from the Beat Junkies up on the balcony of the 600-year-old building that used to be like the king's other house. You know what I mean? Playing hip hop to the crowd. And what I saw was a bunch of people surrounding Lyonnais, regulars, locals, that may not have been into hip hop. They weren't out there like dancing. There was a breakdance cypher. They weren't, B-boy, B-girls rocking. There was a competition. They weren't there. They were kind of on the outskirts, drinking their beers at like 1 o'clock in the afternoon in France, because it's smoking their cigarettes. That's what they do. But they were into it. They were watching it with attention. They were respectful of it, even if they're not hip hop heads. I say all that long-winded way of saying around the world, hip hop is looked at differently. Your experiences on that phenomenon?
Wow. In Japan particularly, and huge thanks to Divine Life for plugging me into the hip hop scene in Japan in 2005, in summer 2005. I know that as an import of culture, the hip hop practitioners that are in these countries take it really serious. And they're really about their craft. And they literally understand like battle culture well. And they know like at any given time, if like they're fronting, like somebody could come for their head. So they're usually experts. Even the beginners that I've seen in Japan that are rapping for the first time, like they show up for sound check. They've been practicing for like 2 to 3 weeks prior to, like they have it down. And it's like, it's powerful to see people taking it so serious. I loved the shows out there because it'll legitimately be a party. DJs are tearing up the party, like, their version of Funk Master Flex or whoever. And then the MCs will come and rock for like a 15-minute set or a 20-minute set. And then after that, it's back to the party and the MCs are MCing the party. And I'm just like, yo, this is like so different from the way that we throw shows here, because like they're all in tune. They'll even have dancers come out, like they just put it together. And I'm like, yo, every single show that I went to was just such an experience, a hip hop culture, like all the elements together, so
it's refreshing.
Yeah, man. And it gave me a little bit of hope. I was coming back to New York. Time is not always on our side, and I was just hoping that like New York could do some of that, similar to the way like Tools of War does it uptown, but just even a lot more with us, as the younger ones. I was just hoping that maybe we can get some shows that are the synergy is just a little bit more cohesive. But all in all, between Japan and Uzbekistan and South Korea, man, even France, I made it to France and I got to see like their graffiti museum and stuff. Like, I just love the way that people appreciate the culture and take it serious.
Shouts to Paris, France again. JM, who brought me to Lyon for the Les Original Festival, was part of a movement that the city of Paris, a lot of people don't know this, the city of Paris, France, opened up a hip-hop cultural center in the middle of Paris. It's like in the middle of their, like they have like a sort of an indoor-outdoor mall, like right in somewhere in Paris. I was there. I was invited to speak, and I got to DJ there. Shouts to Shirt. You know Shirt, the MC named Shirt?
No.
He's a dude from New York, but he's also in Amsterdam. He's all over the world. But he was out there. I DJ'd for him. I met Aku and Naru out there. There was a lot of people out there. Point being that the Paris funded this.
Wow.
They recognize the importance of, I see people shouts to the Universal Hip Hop Museum and all the things they're trying to build to like provide a legacy for hip hop. And they're like fundraising and doing all these things. And it's like Paris paid for it.
Wow.
State of the art, bro. Like stages, classrooms, teaching DJ classes, teaching, B-boy and B-girling, teaching DJ and turntablism, a lounge, a bar, like, performance space is fantastic. So again, just that, not to say that, we don't have our pockets here in New York. I mean, we talked yesterday, I was talking to Dialect, we talked and we brought up Freestyle Mondays. We brought about, end of the week.
Saw that. I did see
you know
that.
what I mean? So we have our thing. And again, throughout the country, we just spoke about Young Lady in Seattle. There's a Seattle scene. There's a lot of stuff in the Bay Area. Every city got their own little thing. Atlanta, you know what I mean? But you have that different appreciation over. Shouts to Mikal Amin in the comments section who blatantly points us at the capitalistic society that we live in America, that it forces out the artistic nature for the lucrative aspects, and that's to our detriment, you'd say. Yeah,
that's hired gun, right?
Yes sir. Yes sir, formerly known as.
Yeah. Oh man, thank you for sharing that. It's interesting, man, because there's a certain resilience in hip hop practitioners where it's like, even like Primo said, underground lives forever. You know what I'm saying? Like that undercurrent of realness, like it doesn't matter how much corporate will try to commodify it, it's going to pop up. You know what I'm saying? Like we go to Africa and I went to Niger, with the U.S. Department of State. They sent.
I was gonna say you did Next Level.
Oh, this was different. So
okay.
Next Level Uzbekistan afforded me this opportunity to go to Niger by myself. You know what I'm saying? So I went with a singer, a jazz singer, and it was dope because it was so organic. The drums were going, and I just picked up the mic and started beatboxing, and the girls started dancing. You know what I'm saying? And this is like Naimi, Niger, and then it's like, we just have this crazy jam session, and then they pull me to dance, and I'm doing like my bootleg, you know what I'm saying, up rock, you know what I mean? Like, I can't really get down when I was, a kid is different. I don't practice, so, but they loved it, you know what I mean? And it's dope. Like, you can't really stamp out the undercurrent, and it doesn't matter how much corporate is doing, as long as people like yourself, Mikal, myself, Ty from the Bush, Conscious, we got Cavalier, a lot of the younger ones, even Kemba, you know what I mean? Like
shouts, yeah.
Everybody is still forging ahead because our roots are strong, and that's the one thing. Like you can do whatever you want to do on the top, as long as the roots are strong, it's always gonna shine through, and people are gonna always gravitate more to the realness when they see it. You know what I'm saying?
I like the analogy because, leaves fall off every year, right? But that tree's still there. Some leaves are going to fall and then new leaves come and it changes. But we are here. And you're part of that root structure. Very good point. And you also bring up the thing that I touch upon every day. This is broken record for me. Or CD skip or corrupted MP3, however.
Wow, I love that.
You don't know who's listening, right? Yeah. So, but the repetitive thing that I say is that the true power of hip hop is not at the top. Mm-hmm. It is because it's what helped branch it out across the world. But even then, before hip hop was big on the radio and big on MTV Raps, it was mixtapes that was carrying hip hop throughout the world. Shouts to the Mixtape Museum. So it's always been that streets, grassroots, word of mouth, hand to hand, staying up from 10 at night to 2 in the morning to tape the only time that hip hop would come on the radio in New York City, Red Alert or Marley Marl, and make that pause tape and then rock it for a week. Like it's never been the top that's brought the culture forward. And similarly today, when we talk about people who lament how the mainstream is for whatever, whether you like the music or not, whether you think that it has enough messaging, in it, like, you go back to Public Enemy and Poor Righteous Teachers and everyone was on the radio and KRS One and Queen Latifah, and now they don't have that. Fine, I understand that argument, but at the same time, that work that you talk about, those names that are not at the top are still doing the work.
Yeah.
And that work is just as important and perhaps even more influential.
Mm.
Maybe not as widespread or as mainstream, but in pockets. So I talk about that with how social justice can work and how the work we do at Newsbeat and, even as hip hop theater, it's not all about Hamilton. Like, it's, you know what I mean? And with you again, now I'm segueing, long-winded segue. When you talked in the beginning about healthy living, healthy eating, you've always been an in-shape dude. You've always been, you know what I mean? Like, that's always been a part of your, your lifestyle, the way you present yourself. It's very annoying, by the way, for listeners, how ridiculously chiseled you look. Like you're doing this on. I could do that too in the interview. I could take my shirt off too, but I don't want to distract from the guest. But it's always been part of your thing, and respectfully so. Lately, you've been, again, living a vegan lifestyle, changing it up a little bit more. And that is super influential, I think, to other people who are now starting to say, especially during pandemic, like, I got to look at how I'm living. I got to eat better, sleep more, stress, all the things. So I think super important. The real reason, like, again, all these other things are amazing to spread. But tell me more about your work in this field. The festival that you were a part of, and just you as a person, as an artist, to try to live and feel and last.
Man, thank you for that. If I could veggie back and kind of rewind to like a prior point, you talked about hip hop culture and how, like, the undercurrent really dictates and pushes culture forward. Like, we create it. It's actually like almost like a great example for life right now too. Like, on our day to day, we kind of lost sight of our connection. You know what I'm saying? As if people see each other as human beings and not just as like, you're in my way to the top so I can be aligned with the top that doesn't care about me.
Right.
Like, we would have we would have a greater human experience here. And that's one thing I love about hip hop culture is we have forged ahead all over the world. It's in every single language. Our brothers and sisters are all subgroups, black, brown, yellow, red, everything on this planet. That's us. And if somehow, the rest of the world can get it, you know what I mean? Like, we would realize, the fight is not on a ground level. It's really at the top. And there's only a few people at the top a few groups at the top that are controlling the narrative, and we can actually control it ourselves.
Hip hop's changed every aspect. There's not an aspect of humanity that you can't say was somehow influenced, from politics down to linguistics to fashion. That's, we're preaching to the choir here, but I do hope that people who aren't familiar with this concept are listening, because what you say rings true.
Yeah, man. So we just got to remember, we push the culture forward. We push our lives forward, and that comes down to just a lot of humility. And what I love about hip hop culture is it increases social literacy between different groups. You know what I'm saying? So, like, if you're socially literate, he's from the same hood I'm from. He just happens to be Filipino. I'm about to try to take this dude's heads off, and this dude might, bust out some like Kali Screamer shit in his b-boy shit and like fuck you up. You know what I mean? But it's like the same struggles, and hip hop bridges that gap of social literacy, which I love, and that's, again, our societies as a whole are missing that, and hip hop brought that, you know what I mean? So, should I go into the vegan stuff, or you got something?
I do know what you mean. It's funny, at the end of the podcast, I usually say, all right, this podcast is named Hip Hop Can Save America, and what do you think when you hear that? Why should hip hop be at the table and, and helping to improve humanity? You already answered the question without me asking it. You broke it down. Along those lines is that we can affect change in every aspect of humanity, and when we do it with a positive intent, when we do it with trying to improve lives and livelihoods and communities, as we see with hip hop education, as we see with hip hop and STEM, as we see with hip hop and mental health therapy. There's receipts. By the way, we're not making this up. This isn't theoretical. There are receipts. That's why I'm interviewing people that have been doing it for years. Like, yeah, of course it works, because we know why it works. You just talked about why it works. Similarly, as we see a movement starting to bubble with people in general, trying to live better, eat better, survive better, we see it being led in some aspects, in some pockets, by hip hop minded folks. Again, it's not, you don't have to have a vegan rap song, you know what I mean? But artists know how to get messages across, and it doesn't always have to be top 40 radio or whatever. You're doing some of that, some of the efforts you're doing personally as to how you got into this lifestyle on a more significant level, and then yes, specifically about like the Veg Fest and other things that you got working on.
I think 2014 was a critical year for me. I got diagnosed with like a small illness that a doctor said I couldn't get rid of, and it was really hurtful. You know what I'm saying? Because you spend time with people that you really care about, and you think that you're being safe, and then like you just end up not being safe. You know what I'm saying? On the health tip, So I remember I went into a clinic, and the doctor is very much in tune with Western medicine. I just remember the look on her face and the aggressive push of like, you got to take drugs. And I was just like, nah, I'm not, like, something didn't resonate in my soul. So I went on a few months study, and I came across James Kill's Diseases on YouTube. And then, it's a really cool, salesy type of white guy that was talking about the power of oil of oregano, right? And then I was like, oh, snap. So then that led me to Dr. Sebi. And then I started studying Dr. Sebi's work, lectures, and then it led me to Left Eye. And I was like, oh, snap, like Left Eye went to him for healing. Rest in peace. And then Magic Johnson, Michael Jackson, there's quite a few people that went to him for healing, right? And I was like, damn, I wonder if Magic is here because of Sebi. Like, Magic looks amazing. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
something works.
Right? So I decided to do more research, and it came down to just detoxing. So I was like, all right, if I detox my body, can I just keep eating plants? I really love chicken. I really love red meat. I'm O positive. So like my blood type can handle meat well, but I stuck to my regimen, and I noticed that, I was cutting weight and getting chiseled naturally. And I was like, yo, let me start working out.
Great, more chisel. Go ahead.
Shout out to Large Pro for the Stay Chisel song, man.
Even more chisel. Great. This is what we need. Thanks.
And I realized that my physical, the things that I was dealing with physically were also things that I was dealing with spiritually and mentally. So I started getting more into my mental health and grounding myself spiritually. So I started reading a lot more and just working on my mental health and, watching like anti-narcissism videos and like meditation stuff. And I just started a daily practice because I was in a low space. Again, I had a disease that I couldn't get rid of. Right. And it just doesn't make you feel good as a person. And, I was a little bit lost back then. So fast forward a year later, I was 100% clear of the disease that I had. And, I started getting into calisthenics and working out. And as a man, I will say this to the men and women watching, men are very exterior and, women are very interior. They can be exterior as well. As men, like sometimes we have to physically do stuff in order to balance out our energy, our testosterone. So for me, that was calisthenics. For others, it's rapping and doing stuff, but I had to be way more physical. So that the combination of being way more physical with calisthenics and staying on like a really dope daily meditation and journaling regimen, and then just eating plants allow me to just be a lot more zen and kind of look at all the problems in life as like the sky to the clouds. The clouds are there, rain, birds, all that shit's in the sky, but the sky is, tries to be as consistent as possible. I can't front, this pandemic shook all of that, so I'm getting back to being the sky, but
hey, it happens to the best of us, brother.
Yeah, man. And then lastly, Manny, in 2018, I was a part of the Black Veg Fest team founded by Omowale Adewale.
Omowale, the champ is here.
Who's also the head founding member of the Grassroots Artist Movement, which is our hip hop union from 2001. So
it comes full circle, don't it?
Secretly, Game was behind the Black Veg Fest, and we had over 6,000 people that came through to the Weeksville Heritage Center and the Kingsborough Projects in 2018.
In Brooklyn.
Yes, and we
Yep.
had countless vendors. We had speakers from all over the world. Tori Washington, who trained Thor, who's a vegan bodybuilder, came out. We had Body by Bernhard Stick from Dead Prez spoke. Dr. Milton Mills from What the Health on Netflix came to speak. MC Gray, who's known for the vegan Thanksgiving song, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
Gray came out.
I did say at the beginning, it doesn't have to be a vegan song, but there are vegan songs. So yeah, no disrespect. I'm just saying it doesn't have to be that, but that's good too.
So we had.
I remember that. That's funny.
A combination. Oh man, Queen Afua. We just had a combination of amazing men and women who are leading in this health and wellness space of plant-based vegan food that were Black people, and it was a Black it was almost like the Wakanda of vegan festival.
I was gonna say, it goes back to your very early point about Chadwick Boseman and the whole Black Panther phenomenon. It's like representation matters.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it wasn't exclusive either, so we welcomed
of course.
And it was dope. We had everybody out there, every subgroup you could
literally inviting everyone to the barbecue.
Yes. So that's something I'm passionate about, and it was a cross section between hip hop and vegan food. It was a hip hop festival too, so it was dope.
Well, there's always gonna be hip hop, and I like that. Look, I'm skeptical about some. Look, I'm not a big Western medical fan guy, but I donated a kidney a year and a half ago.
Oh my God, man! Come on,
right?
Man. Come on, man.
So that couldn't have happened, you know what I mean, with oregano oil. I'm just saying.
Oh,
like we need.
That's a good point.
That being said, I am absolutely, in the supportive of people who are researching and finding different ways that are outside of the traditional medicine. That I've seen the receipts. What you're saying resonates. Whether it's a particular person that could be controversial or not, or whatever. The trick is find what works for you.
Yes.
I think pay attention to all the different elements and how they come together. You said it's a mixture of what I eat, but also how I think and how I act. And I think that everyone who at least tries to work on those areas is leaps and bounds ahead of anyone who doesn't. So whether it's a big, deep dive into all the possible, alternatives, or just saying, man, I gotta go for a walk.
Yes, man.
It's like it's okay. It's great but it's great to have people in your position that we already know and trust and love because of your artistry, and your soul speaks louder than your voice.
Wow, appreciate it.
You know what I mean? Like, for those who know you and have been attached to you. So when we see you do something, we take it serious, and we do look. And I know that there are people looking at you who don't look like me but look like you, and who are saying, man, this really resonates with me. So I respect and love you for that work. Black Veg Fest is an ongoing thing.
Black Veg Fest is ongoing.
Veg Fest. I say Veg Fest. I wasn't sure.
We did
Veg
have
Fest.
a rally this year in Brooklyn. Obviously, the mayor shut down festivals this year, so we couldn't have the big one. But we look forward to 2021 and the possibilities of doing the festival again. But this year was our third year.
Yeah.
And
growing and getting bigger, and so it'll come back with a vengeance. There's a couple of online presences. I know it's Black Veg Fest on Instagram and such. So people who are interested in this can follow it. And of course, then I would imagine, are sharing information, resources if you want to try to learn more about the lifestyle. Yeah,
definitely. It's a combination of animal wellness, because part of the vegan journey is also just animal rights as well. So like, that was something I wasn't really big on, but as you stop doing certain things with food, you realize, like, some of the animals are being abused. Right.
It wasn't your way in. Like, for a lot of people, it's their way in.
Yeah, nah.
You were more like on the health conscious tip, but then that's like a great side effect.
Yeah, totally. And it just makes you a lot more aware of, like, some of the brutality that happens in. One thing I'll say is in the beginning of the pandemic, there was a big part of the conversation about Chinese wet markets.
Right.
And not for nothing, but the American factory farms are in direct parallel to those wet markets. And if you watch things like themeatrix.com, the Meatrix, not Matrix, Meatrix, you'll see, like, they're bacteria and microorganisms that are becoming resistant to the antibiotics that the
Right.
cows and the pigs are being fed, and that's how these viruses evolved to be so strong. You know what I'm
Right,
saying?
right.
So whether it was China or America, the possibilities of things even happening here,
Right.
if we don't, if politicians don't take that part serious,
Right.
for all the people that are still eating meat and fish, we could be in for a really big situation. You know what I mean?
We about to get Joe Rogan-ish on this podcast now. We talking like, but at the same time, there's also been connections to climate change that have been tied to the advancement of pandemic-like viruses and pandemic-like situations. So there are other factors. Again, it comes down to policy. It comes down to people caring about these issues and not just worried about pure profit. Again, you, sir, as being someone that has, from the very beginning of this conversation, the very, very beginning of your career, I think focused more on the people than the profit.
Totally.
But through that, I think you've led a profitable life. Yeah, I can't speak to your bank account, but I could, you know what I mean?
Yo, it's crazy. I got the crazy come up during the pandemic, man. Like,
Listen, there's opportunity when things are down. Listen, and you don't have to be I was just saying yesterday, I know one really rich guy.
Same.
I know one really rich guy. I know a bunch of people that are they're good. They're better than me. I ain't nowhere near nothing. But I know one guy who's super rich. And through him, I learned that opportunity is always to be found during downturns. There's always financial, economic, personal opportunity during downturns. It's business. Buy low, sell high. It's like the 101 of investments, right?
Yeah.
And so we could find, and it doesn't matter if it's money. I'm doing this. I was doing a regular ass podcast, and now I'm like, I'm home. I got nothing else to do. That's not true. I got work to do, but you know what I mean? And let's tell more stories. So if you're coming up in the pandemic, that's great. There are people who aren't, and I understand that, and I get that. But always look for opportunities. They might be there.
Yeah.
You got to get past that stress and that I'm losing it. I can't pay my rent. I understand all that. There might be opportunities out there for you.
Yeah, man. A lot of those answers come to you. And apologies for saying this, because one of my beginning videos when the pandemic happened was I was addressing the youth and women that are home with aggressive males that might be abusing them.
Big
you know
problem.
what I mean?
Yeah.
So what I wanted to say was like, yo, in stillness you can get the answer. You know what I'm saying? Or you can get a lot of clarity on pivots that you can make, but not everyone has the environment where they can be still, whether it's in the house or neighbors. But, if you're in a situation, please, if you're able to get into nature just for like a few hours, even if you're like, with the kids too, just get out of the house and try to, just be in nature and try to get some stillness as best you can.
Yeah.
Because those answers really, really, they download when you're able to not have the stimulus of like the iPhone and the news and just noise.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So
anecdotally, I agree. I mean, we made it my little unit here. We made it a habit. Like we can't go to indoor places. We can't go out to eat, whatever. But I'm in New Jersey now, North New Jersey. But within 45 minutes of me are trails and mountains and
dope.
So we're like, let's go for a walk. You know what I mean? So Baby Girl Faces is like, oh, we're going on an adventure. Like she calls it adventure walks. It's like, we're going on an adventure. And then we go like in the waterfalls or a woodpecker or something. So just
I saw you
testify.
You posted a video the other day promoting the podcast, walking. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Oh, okay. So there you go. I live now. I moved in the beginning of the month, and I live now closer to a very large park here in Newark. It's called Branch Brook Park. Beautiful park, great walking, circle. And you're right. I went out. I'm like, I'd be a fool to not take advantage of that. It's right here.
Yeah.
And I don't have they may have closed my gym in the building, I used to do kickboxing. Shouts to CKO in Newark. Yeah, it was dope. I loved it. But they're back open now, safe and da-da-da. But you got to find your ways. And even if it's, like I say, even if it's going, my dad had heart issues. And then when he had a heart attack, I was like in 7th grade, 8th grade, minor heart attack. Every day for the rest of his life, practically, he would be like, I'm going for a walk. and he would go for a walk, like he'd drive to like downtown. He'd walk down. We were in Westbury, shouts to Long Island, Strong Island,
Right.
and he would walk up Post Avenue, right up and down, and and then and he would always go for then Farmingdale. He would go for a walk.
Wow.
Now I can't, say this for certain, but I know that he extended his life just by doing that.
Definitely.
So, and in these times we got to find those things. So it's just a great inspiration to talk to you, man, to remind myself, and I hope others get this as well. All the things that you do, you really are sort of a leader and an influencer in ways that aren't like, you don't have to show your abs though, bro. Like but okay, fine. Show them. It's fine. You're very influential. I've always appreciated you for your artistry. I've appreciated you recently for this extra push into healthy, good living, and I appreciate you for all that.
Thank you.
What is on the agenda for you? And then we'll get out of here. What you got going on now? What do people need to know about? Obviously, Black Veg Fest. You can still Veg Fest. I'm going to mispronounce it all day. But it's still available. You're still affiliated with that. ADUM7 on Spotify, on YouTube. You just dropped a song with a couple of dope people. What's up with you now, and why should people pay attention to your ass?
The song I dropped it's called Chariots, and it's featuring this really dope Filipino MC, and I say Filipino because he's a comic book writer as well, and he's pushing into the comic book space with a comic book called Bayani.
Okay. How's that spelled? What is that?
It's Bayani.
Got it.
And he's basically like rallying the Filipino community around the Filipino superhero. He's almost like the Black Panther of the Filipino community. So we collaborated on the song. His name is Mark Teodosio, and we collaborated on the song Chariots, and it's just like a dream, inspiration, resilience type of song. Just showcasing his songwriting and my music production. So I'm pushing that right now.
Yep.
I think in regards to health, there's this thing called the love frequency at 432 hertz. So I know Janae Aiko released a project where all the songs are 432. So there's a few, and I've been quite asking my homie from Dreamville, Mez, just help with the frequencies and stuff, and seeing who could help me on the engineering side. But I wanna put out quite a few projects, and this is prior to Janae's drop,
Okay.
But it's been in the pipeline to release.
Yeah, at first, Janae.
Right.
I mean, we're not trying to take nothing away from you, but
it's in the pipeline to release the Almighty album with my homie Sire Dali, as well as like a few more, Ryu Black EPs and singles. Just myself rapping and showcasing my skills with these hertz frequencies that will affect the body in a certain way. And if I could just add another point on top of that, there's this thing on YouTube called the Rice Experiment. So if you go to YouTube to find it, you could type in the Love Jar Experiment, and the Rice Experiment will come at the top. And essentially this guy in 30 days took 3 jars of rice, and the first jar he screamed at it, the second one he said love things to, and the third one he ignored it. And it showed the power of sound, frequency, and intention in 30 days. And in 30 days, the rice that he said love things to was you can still eat it. The one that he was hating on was completely rotten, and the one that he neglected was halfway rotten. And what happens when you create music from that stance?
Yes.
You're using frequencies and your words. You can talk about real stuff, but the intent of the words, what does that do to your physical body? What does that do to your spirit? That's the type of music that I'm working on. It's not so easy to create it, but I'm super excited, especially for the Sire Dali Almighty album. It's like the best production that I've ever made, and I'm like sitting on it. He's about to start recording, and I'm just like, I cannot wait to give it to the people. You know what I mean? So.
Well, I can't wait to, I don't know, I can't speak for everyone, but we can't wait to hear that. I've always, first of all, I like to subtitle this. I put it in quotes like someone said it, but I said it. The world's smartest hip hop podcast.
Yes.
And thank you for that little last bit there. I'm like, that's what we talking about. We mad smart up in here. We talking about frequencies, and we talking about. Now, I've always suspected, this is between you and me. No one else listen to this. That Pharrell got some frequency insider knowledge because he makes some eargasms.
Yeah.
He be sneaking frequent. I'm just saying, when you research further, Pharrell, because I'd be like, I shouldn't like this song as much as I do. There's something there.
Yeah,
I'm just saying.
He probably tuned it to like 432 or something.
I think he's tuned in. Like he, you might have had it before Janae, but Pharrell might have had it before all of us. I'm just saying.
I like all his stuff, man.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Albums where I didn't even necessarily, the lyrics were whatever, but it was hot, and I'm like repeating. I'm like, yo, this is hot. Like, it's audio hypnotism. I'm telling you. Frequencies, man. I always this is stupid. I gotta wrap up. I like the sound of a car backing up over gravel or riding on gravel. Oh, wow.
Like for some reason that makes me feel good. I don't know why. And maybe it takes me back to like a time when I was young. I heard the cicadas out here today, and I lived in downtown North for a little while. Now I live where there's trees, and you're a Long Island cat. You know them cicadas in the morning. Like that's summertime Long Island sound. And I was like, oh, it's my childhood. But there's something about car on gravel. And I don't know. So I've always suspected there's like some frequency thing happening there. So please indulge me and come back to me and tell me more about the frequency work. There's something to that. And I know there's more people out there that know about this stuff. And I'm glad you're on it.
Thank you.
You're my encyclopedia Adam. So, listen, man, I really thank you. It's great to talk to you. You're a friend of mine. You're a brother of mine. I miss seeing you in person, but I love seeing you from afar, doing all these things. So thank you for your time, my man. Is there anything else people need to know? Where can they find you? Social, websites, all the jazz?
Yeah, first and foremost, Manny, thank you for doing what you're doing, because your resilience is unparalleled. I don't think the community, and there's a lot of us, I don't think we give you your flowers enough, but your resilience is also pretty inspiring to me, just to like not drop the ball. And I do my thing as far as trying to maintain my mental health. And a lot of times when I'm low, the resonance of what you're doing, and like I said, even just sharing photos with the young one, I'm just like, yeah, man, it's this hip hop, you know what I'm saying? It just makes me, I just want to big you up for, bro, you've been so consistent, bro. Seriously, since MySpace era, bro.
That's right. I think he was a top 8.
Yes.
Might have been my top. And they don't know the story, like how we knew each other, but didn't know that we knew each other. It's a wonderful. I appreciate the appreciation. I appreciate that love, man. I really do. We don't hear it enough.
Yeah.
If you're famous, you can go on Twitter every day, and if you filter out the people that hate you, you're gonna find a lot of people that saying they love you. When you're just doing the work, and we don't get that as much. And so it does mean a lot to me, man. I appreciate that.
Yeah, man. And you said social? Should I?
Yeah, like where people find you? Like you're an approachable guy.
Yes. Please go to on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. It's ADUM7X, ADUM7X, and then my website is ADUM7.com. And yeah, you'll find like my record label stuff, Manifest Vision stuff, right. And yeah, man, if you follow me there, you'll see what's up. You know what I mean? DM me, whatever.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate you, man. I definitely recommend people do that. Obviously, they've already fallen in love with you. They're already adding you to their things. So thank you, brother. I really appreciate you. Please come back and talk to me about frequencies. Stay healthy, stay strong. Keep doing what you're doing, man. If my opinion means anything, you do great stuff.
I appreciate it.
So that's all I can say, man. All right, man. Be safe. And as soon as this thing clears up, let's link up.
All right. Love and life, bro.
Back at you, man. Peace, brother. There you have it, my man, my mellow ADUM7, the great producer, MC, artist. We didn't talk about cover art. He does cover art. He's a fantastically healthy guy. Black Veg Fest. So many things that you could find if you just follow ADUM7. Shouts to Day Destino. Shouts to the OG Wonderful associate producer Summer. Shouts to the new NG, so that's like the new G. Associate producer Cindy on the with the help booking and getting everything situated in the back end. Shouts to Mikhail Amin. This brother right here has a big history of being a teaching artist activist, brilliant mind, and he's coming up next week. I'm not telling y'all who's coming up. Have you noticed that? I'm not telling you who's going to appear. If they want to tell you, that's cool, but I'm not telling you because I want you to tune in and find out. If you felt this inspirational, motivational conversation touched your spirit, there's going to be like 13 or 14 more of these every Monday through Thursday, live, Hip Hop Can Save America with me, Manny Faces, here, wherever you're seeing me. Also available, obviously, on demand in a video format, but also as a podcast. So if you do the podcast thing and you can't catch these videos, subscribe to the podcast. They'll all be released. We need those numbers. The podcast industry is blowing up. We do some good stuff. Let's try to get this popping. Subscribe to us on your favorite podcast app, whether it's Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you find podcasts. Hip Hop Can Save America. Go to hiphopcanssaveamerica.com/live and you get all the information about this live stream Monday through Thursday, every Monday through Thursday through the month of September. Friday, a special bonus. I got a special bonus. I'm not live tomorrow, but back on Monday. Special bonus dropping tomorrow. Really great conversation with a really dope practitioner of a subset of hip hop art that you might not think about on a daily basis, but is absolutely brilliant. You'll love it. So make sure you're subscribing. Shouts to who did I say? So Mikhail Amin will be on next week. So there's a little bonus. Dave Destino, one of the most incredible people in music. I have yet to see you perform live. We got to change that once this whole thing ends. Shouts to Cindy. Deborah on a check-in. The Mighty Silent Night, who was our inaugural guest, was in here. Far Beyond. Shouts to Bonfire Radio. Far Beyond. Everyone. Jay Smooth. Shouts to TK and Conscious. Everybody. I do the Sunday R&B brunch live. I spin. I'm a DJ. We got a great R&B show every Sunday. So if you can't wait to see me again or hear me again, I got you. Sunday, noon, bonfireradio.com. You can follow me on social media to find out more. I'm Manny Faces on Twitter, Manny Faces NY on Instagram. Just Google me and the thing you're trying to find me on. I'm there. I appreciate y'all for your ears. Once again, patreon.com/Manny Faces. This work is important. I'm trying to do it the best that I can. I want to stay violently independent. I don't want to be on no network. I don't want to be down with nobody else unless they're really paying the money and respecting the creative license. Shouts to Joe Budden leaving Spotify. Shouts to Joe Budden. Respect to Joe Budden. Non-cipher to Charlemagne the God criticizing what Joe Budden is doing. This is Inside Baseball. I'm getting too crazy. All right, listen, we'll be back Monday live here, 1 p.m. Eastern on Facebook and YouTube, available as a podcast. If you know me, if you see me, just hit me up and say hi and say, I love what you're doing. I hate what you're doing. I respect what you're doing. You need to do this instead. I love y'all. I'm out of here. See y'all Monday. Special bonus tomorrow on the podcast feed. And then Sunday, the R&B brunch on Bonfire Radio, bonfireradio.com. It's your man, Manny Faces. Hip Hop Can Save America, y'all. Peace.